Tell us about some of the other stuff that we've kind of collectively done.
Well, right now you've got two engines for us here. You know, you're building a 440. You've built that a Hemi for us before, and uh, the the two cars were now Superbirds.
Right.
And we when motors are finished here, we'll dyno them and we'll provide that to the clients.
And how do you think that's going?
I think the clients like it. I think that
It adds a degree of.
We provide them with a birth certificate. We talked about that before. You give them a dyno sheet. We'll put it in a frame for them and sign it, and it's almost like a birth certificate. You know, it's something tangible, and car guys like, you know, something tangible. They want to feel it. They want to see it. They want to.
Well, obviously everybody's interested in like we was talking about, the numbers matching or hot rods or pro mods or whatever. But that gives them a whole nother side of it that nobody else is even offering.
No, I don't think there's not a lot of representation out there on the with a Pentastar as far as resto mods. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Well, you kind of opened up the door because we mentioned Art Morrison before.
Right.
You've opened the door to the Chrysler Connection on that, and tell us something about that.
Well, if you recall, I bought there was a car that was here, level cross, and I remember asking you about it. I'll never forget. I was here and I was looking out the back door, and there was 70 Plymouth that was just sitting on top of a stack of pallets, and I asked you. I said, "Timmy, what's going on with that Plymouth down there?" And your remark to me was, "It's been down there for years, and nobody gonna do anything. I think it's my uncle's. You know, nobody cares."
Well, nobody really knew because the yard was full of stuff like that.
And I asked you. I said, "Well, can I go down there and look at it?" And you said, "You know, it didn't make any difference to you." So I walked down there, and when I walked on it, there was a nose cone laying in it, and the car obviously had been,
which are rare now.
Yes, there was a nose cone in it, and this car had been cut up. It hadn't been converted to a race car, but it was at a point where, you know, something was about to be done to it, but never did. And I came back and my heart started beating. And I took my GoPro. I took my GoPro down there as I walked up on it, and I looked at it and I said, you know, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I came back up and I asked you, and I said, you know, Tim's that car.
I think you timed it just right because they had been working on some sort of restro or replication, and you asked, go ahead, sorry.
And you said, well, I'll have to ask my uncle about it.
Right.
And so the next thing I know, you called me up and you said, it's going to cost this amount of money. You need to come get it. I remember when I came up here to get it, Mark had it on the tractor, and we loaded it on the flatbed, and I asked you if could we name it after your dad, name it Chief. It just kind of tied in together.
Right.
You know, it just made sense to me. And originally we were going to put Carl suspension underneath the car. And I decided that to really pay tribute to your dad,
take it a step further.
Take it to where nobody's taken it before.
Right.
And put the Morrison chassis underneath it.
And I want you to finish the story because I'm digging it. But you actually talked to the people at Morrison Chassis and told them what you were going to do,
Yes.
and it was a long, awkward pause, right?
Well, it's not. It's
Nobody's
not what they
doing
do.
it.
Well, they've only built a handful of chassis for Chryslers because Chryslers are a unitized body car.
Right.
And now you're wanting to put a full frame underneath a car that was never designed for that. How do you engineer that? How do you make that work? And
I'm glad you're talking about this because it's going to segue into another story, but go ahead.
But I mean, it's completely changed, you know, how that car was built. But
so you actually had the privilege of talking to the guys there because there was more than just bolting a body on a chassis.
Absolutely. I mean,
you had to re-engineer a lot of stuff.
This chassis was custom built for this application.
Right. Okay. And so you've also done. Was it the convertible car that you was working on? Cuda.
Cuda.
It was a Barracuda.
Barracuda.
And What's the difference in a Barracuda body? It's a letter. What is it?
One's an E-body, which is a Challenger Barracuda, first generation.
And what would be the Roadrunner?
B-body, which would be Charger.
And all the Superbird is add-ons to the B-body.
It's a glorified Roadrunner. That's right.
Okay. So, I mean, I hate to just jump off this cliff, but another project that you were working on, and I think you're still immersed in it, is you took what year Hellcat car, or was it not a Hellcat? What was the car you bought?
Bought a new Challenger.
With what motor in it?
A Hellcat. It was a Hellcat.
Okay, so I'm right about it. Okay, I didn't want to mess it up. But you took that. How many miles did you put on that car?
69 miles.
And so you like the way that the modern stuff bolted on, which how many bolts does it?
It's
16?
about 16 bolts, and you can take most of the drivetrain out of that car. But again, it's a unibody car. It's not a full chassis car.
And has anybody that you know of attempted to do what you've done with that?
There are a couple of guys out there that have done it. Steve Marabelli has one. He's got his own YouTube channel, and Steve's a good guy. He's a good fabricator. He worked for Hendrix.
Right.
He worked for Hendrix
right.
for a year.
I remember you talking about it.
And so it's been done before. It's not new. It's extremely difficult to do though, and make everything work.
Well, and so you've taken a 1969, 70 body. Is it a Charger Dodge
and
Daytona?
Converted Daytona.
Okay.
It's not a real Daytona, but it was a Charger.
But you've took the pieces
Mm-hmm.
and basically took all your new stuff off other than the inner, the cab.
Yeah, think of it like when we were young and you were building a model car.
Right.
And so you take you put your motor in it, you put your seats in it, and you glue it, and you put your suspension, and then you take the top of the body and you put it on. It's the same principle.
So you have all the comforts of paddle shifting and air conditioner and heater. And,
absolutely.
Which I guess heaters in every car, but you know what I'm saying. You got all the amenities of a new car with an old school body.
I don't think people.
Have you finished that project yet?
No.
You don't think people what now?
I don't think people can appreciate how different cars were 50 years ago.
Oh, no, it's definitely
it's
light years away. So
it's just a different era we live in, and so you have to be able to, and to me that's a true definition of a resto mod, and that's a wide interpretation as far as what one person might think is a resto mod.
It's not just cut and dry what it is.
No, I think it's kind of a creative freedom,
So you took that car and an older car to Carlisle that year that I went.
That's right.
And that's the only year I've ever been there. Just time constraints and a real job, so to speak. But you know what I mean, working for somebody else.
That's right.
But so, what's your prediction on the future of that car?
Again, I think there are better cars to build. Mm-hmm. I think that car it doesn't appeal to everybody. So, I think that Chief, obviously, for me personally, with the Morrison chassis, putting your the race engine in it, I just think I think it's just a better way to build. I think it's more in line with what I really want to do. And
really?
Yeah, I just think that it is, because there'll be a time when anybody can go out and buy a new Hellcat. Anybody can buy you can buy a 200-mile-an-hour car off the showroom floor. Right. But to be able to build a car and make it work.
With a distributor.
With it,
and a carburetor.
And a carburetor.
Which
Normally
is
aspirated.
long gone from the real world.
That has a certain curb appeal.
Gotcha.
It's not for everybody, and we're not trying to make it for everybody. This isn't for everybody.
Right. Well, I guess that there's a couple other interesting projects that Jim's done, and one of them. Did you ever dig that one car out of the junkyard? It looked like it had been rolled over and fell down a mountain. There
have been several of those cars, so we rebuilt. I guess the last one that we worked on was we've got a blue Daytona that's in the shop, and the Hildebrands, really nice people. They bought that car brand new, and I've got a picture of Ernie when he was a baby and his mother's holding him, and in the background is this Dodge Daytona, and this car was wrecked in the late 70s, and this original owner car. And so we completely rebuilt that car, and I'll share some pictures of where that car is at now.
Well, if somebody out here in our listeners and watchers world How would they get a hold of Vintage Metal Works down in Commerce, Georgia?
They can call me at 770-403-0554.
Have you got any social media stuff up?
No, I don't do the social media.
You're kind of shying off of that, huh?
Well, I'd much rather
Talk to a guy.
I'd much rather have this kind of conversation.
Have a cup of coffee.
Absolutely, and just be yourself. Just be genuine.
Well, Jim, as always, good talking to you. Great. Thanks for stopping by. Check out Vintage Metal Works and Moonshine Speed Shop, Petty Brothers, all the petty stuff coming along your way.